Welcome to Ask Me Anything, featuring spiritual medium and psychotherapist Kellee White.
Hi, everybody. I'm spiritual medium and psychotherapist and author Kellee White, and welcome to Ask Me Anything for February 26, 2026. It's a lot of twos and a lot of sixes, isn't it? Interesting. It's actually an 11-day numerology, which makes it a very powerful day. And also, Mercury is turning retrograde. It's stationing. We almost didn't get online because there were some issues with the internet between Jared's and my house. And so here we go. But we made it. I'm not going to let Mercury retrograde get in the way of my show. I just don't think so. Okay, let me say hi to a few people. I'm going to have lots to talk about. Lots to say, per usual. Okay. Poor Dawn, when I don't have a show, I just have to blab. I got a lot to say. Hi, Melissa. She says, if this segment is about energy, then I don't overthink it. In fact, I just follow my instincts and my gut instincts. That's absolutely what you need to do. That's true. You need to do that. That's great. Hello, Leslie. And yes, Leslie, when I go to do cards, I'll get you a card for your birthday, which is on March 6th, which means that you will be right in that energy of that eclipse, the lunar eclipse on March 2nd and really into March 3rd. So we're going to be talking about that. Hi, Renee. What a glorious day. Oh, thank you, Renee. Hi, Sasha. Okay, well, we're going to be talking about a lot of things today. Hi, Snowy Owl Michelle. Oh, my gosh, you guys, go to Snowy Owl Intuitive Services on Facebook. And every week, Michelle on a Sunday at 7 p.m. Eastern time does either a card pulling or she does a wonderful meditation. And I always try to get on whenever I can on a Sunday because she's so good. And it's just a wonderful way to kind of, end up the weekend. I just love it that way. Keep doing this, Michelle. I just look so forward to it. Hi, Stacy and Lori and Sarah. Hi. Sweet cherry wine. Hello. I do love that. I am staying warm. I'm glad you love our shows. Thank you. Yes, today, Glow, we begin the retrograde period. Now, you probably have already felt it, but we definitely are going to get into it. And this is a big Mercury retrograde. I mean, I know often you might hear me say that this is a real big one. This is it. Hi, Sherry. Hi, Catherine. Hi, Laura. Can we put your crystals and make moon water on March 3rd? No. No. And I'm going to actually talk about that. In fact, Laura, I'm glad you brought that up. I have a post coming out where I made a video coming out, I think, on March 1st. Yeah, and it will tell you what to do, what not to do. But that is absolutely, do not do that. Yeah, the lunar eclipses are really it's strange energy. You don't want that on your water, and you don't want that on your crystals. So there you go. Hi, Linda. Hi, Frank Sullivan. How are you, honey? Hi, Marilyn and Gayla. Hi, Gayla and Dee from Chicago. Oh my gosh, Elizabeth Preston. How are you, honey? I think we're going to get snow again. I heard on Saturday get a little snow, Elizabeth. Hi, Jamie Lynn. How are you? I haven't seen you at our 5 o'clock somewhere. I don't think I've seen you for a while. It's good to see you here. Hi, Patty and Lee Star and Margaret. I know we're going to talk about that snow. In fact, let's get into that right now. Adrian Fisher from Spain. Adrian, I love you, sweetheart. Oh my gosh. So glad you're here. Oh my gosh. Good, so good. Bailey says you're recovering from your hip replacement. Oh, you're so welcome. Listen, I love to give insights, when people are going to go into surgeries and things like that. So Bailey, I'm thrilled. I'm thrilled that you are here. Okay. And hey, Karen and Dee and Sue, always follow your own intuition. Absolutely. Let me get into the astrology right now, because I think this is a really good thing to talk about right now, because these energies are large. So if we started on February 22nd, so today's the 26th, but on the 22nd, all the way through April 2nd, so February 22nd until April 2nd, this will be an intense time, because Mars is transiting it through an Aquarius in Dhanishta. And that's huge, actually. And it conjuncts Rahu. So this transit is about social justice, humanitarian, and humanitarian issues, and it can bring sudden turmoil, upheaval, and disruption. So let's talk Puerto Vallarta. That's what I was headed for with this. So this is that energy. What happened in Puerto Vallarta, and from what I understand, Mexico has really gone through a lot. That would have been this energy, this transit of Mars transiting in Aquarius in Dhanishta conjunct Rahu. That's what that was. And the second thing I wanted to bring up is that East Coast blizzard. Like, Ann Margaret, 24 inches. Wow. I mean, I have to say, we in Wisconsin, we bow to you. I think that's more snow than we've had. That's like a lot. That's unbelievable. But that would have been brought on by this Saturn-Neptune conjunction, which it was exact at 6 degrees between February 17th and February 25th until yesterday. So that was a real deep conjunction that would have caused this in Neptune. That Neptune rules water. So that's a huge thing. So I just wanted to bring that up. When I talk about these energies, I don't know how they're going to play out. Sometimes I do. Sometimes I don't. But I do know that they mean business. That could be shock and surprise and turmoil. They mean business. And we are in a heavy, like getting, rammed with energy, tough energies for the next several weeks. So also today on February 26th, Mercury retrogrades, which means it goes backwards, but planets circle backwards. They slow way down. And the day that they slow down, which happens to be today, February 26th, it's called stationing. And when it stations, so many things can go haywire when it stations, because it's literally slowing itself down. And Mercury is the fastest moving thing. So it's retrograde in Aquarius in Vedic astrology. I do Vedic astrology. So this retrograde it like reboots your system, and it will be a reboot in society because it's in Aquarius. So it means this. So Mercury will not be operating at its full strength. So full strength, when Mercury is direct, we feel energetic. We feel clear in our minds. Right now, Mercury is not going to be operating at its full strength. It's going to be retrograde, and it's going to be tangled up at the same time with this Mars and Rahu conjunction, all in Aquarius. And so Rahu, which is the North Node, it amplifies things. It distorts things. And Rahu is about obsessive behavior. And so with Mars is like heat and friction and impatience, right? So it's almost an impulse to move before you think. And this is going to make things more challenging to have clarity. When you're in that fighting stage, you can't really think so well. So here we have Mercury trying to, work through communication, but Rahu scrambles the signal, and Mars kind of demands some action. So it's a recipe for travel chaos. So if you are traveling, this is not just minor delays, although that will happen. We're talking more with this kind of a conjunction, a rebooking kind of a thing, a cancellation, lost luggage. Make sure you have those air tags on your luggage so you know where it is. Going to the wrong terminals, possibly transportation strikes. This is a very heavy duty Mercury retrograde. So triple check everything. Have your everything backed up. And also that means maybe making backup plans even, So just know that this is watch your patience, pack your patience if you are traveling, because in a time like this, a lot of things can go haywire. Okay, then on February 27th and 28th, Mars again, Mars in Aquarius, and Mars is very intense right now, and it is with Rahu, I keep saying that, it's going to square Uranus. Uranus is the planet of shock and surprise. This is the 27th and the 28th, that can bring, it's like unpredictable energy. This can be very volatile too. It could be social movements, a challenge to authority. So the next couple of days will be intense. Now, we do have something really interesting on the 28th, and that is this 6-planet alignment. Excuse me. I've had this cough since November, and I can't seem to shake it. Anyway, they call this a planetary parade. It will be Mercury, Venus, Neptune, Saturn, Uranus, and Jupiter. And they're going to be visible across the sunset. The next time this will happen is 2040, in the year 2040. So this is a really amazing time. What I find interesting about that is Mars is left out of the picture, thank God, and Pluto's left out. So Pluto is transformation and Mars is war. So it's probably a good thing. And really spiritually, this is like all the planets are going to be in harmony and alignment. And that could help mitigate this intense energy. And it also can bring a lot of transformation to people and new beginnings. So look towards the western horizon about an hour after sunset. And you'll be able to see these planets. Again, Jupiter, Venus, Saturn, and Mercury, and Uranus and Jupiter. Oh, and Mercury, Venus, Neptune, Saturn, Uranus, Jupiter. There you go. So I think that's going to be a very cool thing. And the last thing I'm going to talk about with astrology is, this is a big one, and this is the lunar eclipse. So on it begins on March 2nd in Northern America, and it begins on like late on the 2nd and into the 3rd. So it will probably hit most people while they're asleep. But this is the full moon lunar eclipse, and in Vedic astrology, it's in Leo. And it's in the nakshatra called Purva Falguni. It's the blood moon. And there's a moon in Ketu, the moon in Ketu. Ketu's the south node. Before I was talking about Rahu, the north node. The south node, and it conjuncts in Leo. And this is a really potent event because of this conjunction. And Mercury is retrograde during this. So lunar eclipses always impact the moon, and that represents our mind, our mother, our inner peace, our relationships, our mother wound, all of these things. And Ketu is all about karma. Ketu is also interesting because it's about detachment. It doesn't care how you get there. It's all about detachment. So this lunar eclipse, this is why I was saying don't put your crystals out. This is not for manifesting. This is for emotional release. This is for introspection. And Leo's ruled by the sun, and that represents and signifies our ego. So your confidence, your self-expression, your creativity, your leadership, children, romance. What's important about this is this eclipse will challenge your self-worth. It's about that. It's in Purva Falguni Nakshatra, which is ruled by Venus. And that's going to bring about karmic lessons within, more than likely, in relationships. And so you want to look at the nature of relationship because of your relationships. This eclipse pushes you for emotional authenticity. You may have big breakthroughs, especially with any of these Leo themes, but especially with self-worth. So last week I did a show on triggers. And so a lot of people either called me or sent me a text or sent me an email and left me a message about how much that show helped them with triggers. All of a sudden they start thinking about certain things that that triggers them. And I want everybody to think about that because that's my job, is to bring awareness. And so if I can bring any awareness to people to start thinking is really important. Thinking, feeling, and so I think this lunar eclipse brings up a lot of emotions. Now, the thing about a lunar eclipse is the energy is about 7 days. So if we go to solar eclipses, they're like 6 months out. So you can expect different things in the next 6 months from that February 17th eclipse. But a lunar eclipse is kind of short and intense and to the point. But I really feel that this will be challenging people with self-esteem issues, people with self-worth issues, which is, again, to bring it up is to look at it so we can heal that, to heal that wound, anything that would hold you back. Okay, and that's K2's job. K2 is detachment. It doesn't care how you get there. It's just going to get you there because we all have a plan before we incarnate. And our plan before we incarnate is to grow and evolve. And you can grow and evolve at any time in the world. At any moment, you can have a moment of growth and keep growing. So that's what we come here for. So I wanted to kind of go into that. And as I go into that, now we're going to talk about, I think it's really important, our intuition. And, a lot of people will think, and I work with so many different people on a daily basis. I work with so many people here that think, Kellee, is this really a sign? Am I crazy? Am I making this up? No. We have wonderful spirit guides, wonderful loved ones on the other side, wonderful spirit guides that help us, guide us, give us things. So it helps to wake us up consciously. It helps us to remember that I do have help from the other side, that I'm not crazy. And it gives you an awareness. And when you start to have a consciousness of spirituality, it shifts the way you think. You go from that intense left brain person to a right brain or a more bi-brain person, which is really where we all need to be. So I'm going to talk about signs that you're being guided and how to trust it without overthinking of it. And the first thing I really want to talk about is, spiritually speaking, since we are constantly surrounded, again, by loving guidance from our guides, from our higher self, for goodness sakes, that's our higher self is huge. And our loved ones from the other side. So there are many subtle signs that actually are missed. And they're missed because we're looking for some grand thing. How come my guide just doesn't tell me? How come they just don't put a sign in front of me? Actually, it does not work that way. I mean, they're not allowed to step into our free will. That's why we're here, to experience that. But they love to show us and kind of get us to where we need to be. Often, so many people miss the signs. And so our minds are busy. And also, people are very skeptical. And they just don't want to believe that their loved one just came in as a cardinal, even though they had been saying, Dad, please come and visit me for fuck's sake. And then the dad doesn't show up, and then a cardinal comes. I didn't mean to say it like that, but you know what I mean. I think you all get it. But anyway, I'm very passionate about this. So from a spiritual perspective, we learn discernment between fear-based thoughts, which are really old, antiquated belief systems, and authentically aligning with your highest path. So the struggle on earth is always that. It's always this, this, I'll call it left brain, right brain, but also it's more than that. It's old belief structures and then spiritual structures. It's so we've got to figure out the breakdown of this. So I'm going to help you with this. And I have this great post. Jared, would you put up that post, please, for everybody? And it's a graphic. And I love this graphic because get a picture of this if you can. I'm going to talk about it, but get a picture of this graphic while it's up. It's got the source, and then we have whether it's a fear-based thought and whether it's a true intuitive guidance. And then we've got the feeling, sensation of that. And then we've got the quality of the message and the timing and urgency and action it promotes and overall outcome. So you get a chance, take a picture of it and look at that, because I think it will help a lot of people. So thank you for that. And fear-based thoughts versus intuitive guidance. So fear-based thoughts are rooted in a desire for survival. So we come to Earth, we want to survive. So fear-based thoughts come out. And, many times the fear-based thoughts can have the ability to protect us, okay? Because they help us from perceived threats. But they tend to limit your experience. And so they keep you either small or they keep you stuck. If you stay in fear, you will not expand. You just will not. Again, I talk about this a lot, and I have many times, but it's worth bringing up. I had a grandmother that was Jehovah Witness, and fear-based. She wrote the book. She wrote the book on fear-based, and I thought this makes no sense what she's saying, but I never let it stop me, and my mom never let it stop her. But boy, she had a very limited fear-based life. It's interesting. But they keep you in it's stuck in a belief system. And so you want to get out of that, because a true intuitive guidance is rooted in a desire for expansion and alignment with your soul's purpose. So again, this awareness, I'm evolving. I have an awareness now. I start thinking in different terms, which when you start to go with your intuition and get a real strong sense of that, the fear subsides. I mean, we're on Earth. We're going to have, we don't just walk around willy-nilly. You want to have an awareness, but that's where your intuition comes in. So the purpose on Earth is to grow your intuition and let you lessen the fear of everything, okay? And this intuition helps us with our soul's purpose. And it guides us towards growth, which is really what we're here for, which is what I keep talking about, and wisdom, and this realization for your highest potential. So if you stay in fear, you're going to stay in the lower potential. And if you move out of fear into the intuition, it's going to bring peace, and it brings this unconditional love. Somebody asked me, Dr. Shirley and I have this show called Psychology in the Soul. And if you go to psychologyinthesoul.com before March 1st, you can do it sooner than later, we are going to be answering your questions. And what our show on March 10th is going to be about your questions. Like, I don't care if there's psychology questions, I don't care if there's spiritual questions, but we're going to go into the deep of your personal questions. So the reason I bring that up is because somebody asked me a question about what my spiritual practice was. And my spiritual practice and what I believe in is meditation. And why do I believe in meditation? And why do I do it? It's because it slows the brain down. And if you slow the brain down, you can think clearer. You can get touch into your intuition. You can get aligned. So there's a reason for it. It's not just, just meditate. It's not like that. There's a reason to slow yourself down. In this world, there's so much fear going on, and there's so many, oh my God, so many things to get distracted by. Gosh, that meditation is really important. So anyway, I did want to mention that for the question, and I am going to go more into that on March 10th about that. But anyway, learning to discern is really, really important here. And so you want to see when you're discerning, does this feel expansive, like intuition, or does it feel constriction, which is fear? So I think that's really important. And the subtle signs most people completely miss. But I wanted to tell you, I have this wonderful client. I saw her today, and she said I could tell this story. She lives in the Midwest, where it has been cold, not like the East Coast, but it's it's pretty darn cold. It's like 20 degrees. I consider that cold. And she was in her backyard, and out of the blue, in her backyard, she picked up. She's a huge backyard with like a lake in the back. It's huge, and she was walking around, and she found this card. It was a card like a playing card, and it was an 8 of hearts. And she said, "Is this a sign? Like, how could this be?" And when I saw her today, I did a session with her on spirit guides. I do a lot of different sessions, and I have some time tomorrow. So if you wanted a session, go to my website. So anyway, she found this card, 8 of hearts, and I explained to her That Eight of Hearts represents actually Archangel Michael. His birth date, Archangel Michael's birthday, is September 29. And that's an Eight of Hearts day. And Eight of Hearts literally means emotional power. And it's interesting because she's working on self-worth and, moving forward spiritually. So the Eight of Hearts was not a mistake that her wonderful spirit guide got that for her. So that was, to me, that was a large sign. It wasn't just a subtle sign. But what people miss, they miss like gentle nudges or like repeated gentle nudges. So I had somebody yesterday that said to me, I just feel this nudge. I just feel this nudge. I just feel this nudge. I need to do this. If you start feeling a nudge, you just go with it. I don't even let the second nudge come. I get the first one and I'm like, okay, I'm there. I get it. I've learned to listen. It's taken me a while, but I've learned it. But what it is it's a specific thought or a phrase or an idea that gently is the word, but persistently keeps returning to your mind throughout the day or even over a few weeks without any obvious external trigger. It's not a strong, commanding voice, although I have had that. But mostly it's a quiet, insistent whisper like, call your mother. Or, you start thinking of an old friend, and that just gets louder and louder and louder. Often that happens if you do that, that can also be a sign that person passed away. My sister and I had this recently happen with a friend of hers who had passed away. And she just kept thinking about him and she couldn't get him off her mind. So she, anyway, found out that he had just died. And that happens too. But why we miss this is we dismiss it as, oh, it's just my own thoughts. Again, that it goes into that left brain place. It's random brain static or it's daydreaming. It's not. These are gentle nudges, okay? They're really important. Now, sometimes these are like random impulses or like urges to do something, like that might be slightly out of your routine. So let's say you take a different route. You're driving and you go in a different way. And then you call someone you haven't thought of in a while. Or you pick up a specific book, or look up a particular topic. There's no logical reason. It's just like this quiet pull. And again, why we miss this is people rationalize. Now, this is not left brain work. We do need a left brain. We're on Earth. We do need it. I've had to really develop mine, I got to tell you. But we miss it because we rationalize things like, oh, it's just not logical. Or how about this? It's not a priority. Well, make your intuition your priority. Make your intuition your priority. I think it's really important that we all, as we're going through Earth at this particular time in the world of nothing but chaos, this is the best time to figure out your intuition and to pay attention to it. So there's also what we call a micro synchronicity, and that's like a gentle alignment. And what it's not like this huge, undeniable coincidence, but it might be tiny and almost imperceptible. That you might think of a word and then moments later the word appears. Or you might be thinking of a song and then that appears up. Or you might be thinking of somebody and that pops up. And why it's missed, and this is why it's really important to pay attention, is because people will go, oh, it's just a coincidence. No such thing as just a coincidence. These guides, your loved one, your higher self, they work hard. We're never alone. I know you can physically be alone, but you're actually not alone. I did a reading last week and did a reading for somebody who had lost their father. And he said, I'm physically not present. He made it real clear to me, which always cracks me up. There can also be a subtle shift in the mood or a subtle shift in energy that's maybe unexplained, like a sudden unexplainable feeling of all of a sudden you feel peace and calm or a lightness or an inner knowing. I have to tell you, that happened to me on 2 occasions, and I'll just talk about this one occasion with my family. And we were all together for a Thanksgiving after my mother died. It was the most unbelievably peaceful, calm state that any of us had ever been together. I think I'm the only one that noticed it, but it was like what heaven could be. No, it didn't last long, and once we all separated, the kabooms went back again. But during that moment, it was this peaceful calm. And I often think about that, and it brings me peace to this moment, really. So, but again, why is it missed? You might attribute it to, well, I'm just feeling good, or, anything like that. In other words, people don't recognize or give their intuition enough credit here. So also look at symbolism in everyday life, because this might be seeing a certain bird or an insect or a color or a shape or an object that's repeatedly in unusual contexts. And again, it's missed because you just don't connect that external symbol to an internal inquiry, perhaps. I don't know. But so I'm just trying to get everybody to open up a little bit about when they see things. And again, it doesn't mean that it has to be this large and in charge thing, although that could certainly happen. It could happen, and it has. Also, let's remember this. Sometimes you have fragmented dreams or forgotten dreams, and it's not those vivid, memorable dreams, but those fleeting like snippets that you remember. That's really important, because most people don't make the effort to recall, but if you can, that would be really, really helpful, because that can be a higher state that comes through the dream state to help us maybe with problem solving or some special guidance or a message from a loved one. So that's really important here. So another way that we can hear things as some intuition is we might overhear something in public. So you might be in a public space and you might hear some snippet of a conversation or a line from a song or a phrase from a podcast that fits exactly what you're going through, or a message from like you needed to hear. That has happened to me many a time. And I'm to this point where I am. I'll stop and I'll go, wait a minute. I don't care what I'm doing. My pants could be on fire. I'm like, wait a minute. I got a message. Oh, run, your pants are on fire. But it's important to really tune in to like really subtle signs. It's so important. And that's why when I talk about meditation, it's very important, because you want to trust your inner wisdom. You have all the keys for everything. You can open your own doors for all of this. It's so important. Okay? So just remember, intuition will speak in whispers, and overthinking shouts. So intuition will be that gentle thing, and overthinking will be some internal monologue or doubt or worry or that kind of thing. It's like a blockage. We want to remember that. So, and intuition is not linear. It just is not linear. And overthinking can be hyperlinear. So intuition bypasses logic. Thank God. Okay. And remember when I was in school, I was in college, and I had to take logic, and it was the most painful thing I'd ever done. It was just horrific. I hadn't thought about that until just this moment. I blocked it out. So anyway, so just remember, intuition is trust-based, and overthinking is doubt-driven. You want to just, look for the signs. Be happy. Know that these signs are out there. You're not alone. And like whenever I take my dogs for a walk and I see a little feather, I love it. I don't question, well, there are a lot of birds around, so that's why I have a feather there. I don't. I always go, oh, thank you. Thank you very much. I'll take this feather and look at that. I know that I'm being watched, that I'm loved, that I'm being watched, and given these breadcrumbs, and they're fabulous. So just remember, in essence, overthinking will be a defense. And spiritual communication and intuition is really to cultivate stillness and practice trust and work on your intuition. It's everything. It is everything. So important here that you do that. So anyway, I am going to answer some questions. And before I get to the questions, let's talk about again. I have a new show with Dr. Shirley Pellizzeri. I'm loving it. I love working with Shirley. It's so fun. And she's so smart. And so Psychology in the Soul on Tuesday nights at 7 p.m. Central Time. And that's where we talk about psychology and spirituality. And so join us every Tuesday. But also, if you can, send us some questions that you'd like us to answer. Once a month, we're going to be answering questions. So March 10th, which happens to be Shirley's birthday, we're going to be answering questions. All right, and then on March 14th, I have an upcoming class called Wisdom and Healing for the Empathic Soul. I should have called it Becoming the Conscious Empath. That's what I should have called it that, because what I'm going to be talking about is becoming conscious as an empath. As empaths, it's hard. It's hard whether you're male or female. You come in as an empath. It's a tough one. But it's everything, and it's the best superpower ever. So I'm going to help people with that, and it's a 2-hour class. I think you guys will really enjoy it. And I am going to talk a lot about how empaths are drawn to narcissists. I mean, it's like it is just like a natural fit, or an unnatural fit that happens. So also, I'm really excited on May 22nd. So May 22nd, put this in your calendar. I'm doing a class with Janelle Campbell, who's a fabulous medium in a wonderful channel from Australia. So it's going to be May 22nd in the United States and May 23rd in Sydney, or in Australia. So I think it's like 10 in the morning in Australia. So this is a 2-hour immersive journey into your intergalactic soul. And what's really going to be great about this is, if you've ever taken the angel classes that Janelle and I do, we do that once a year, like in December. And Janelle is an incredible channel, and she channels the angels. Well, now she's going to be doing a great meditation to get you in touch with your intergalactic seeds and where you're from. And then she is actually going to do a channeling, which is going to be amazing, from the intergalactic realm. So it's going to be amazing. So please join us for that. And now I'm going to take some questions here, everybody. So I've got a question from Laura Crum. Hey, Laura, she says, in times of trepidation means great fear, that one becomes uncertain to follow a guidance. That's true. When you are in great fear or trepidation, it's really hard to follow any guidance. So would intuition be a calm feeling? Yes. And wishful thinking would have fear attached to it. Absolutely. Along with the physical symptoms of the body. Absolutely exhibiting a fear reaction. Yes, Lord, all of that is accurate. Yep, that makes a lot of sense here. Thank you for that. Carlene Reese says, Kelly, I had the most bizarre thing happen a few months back. And I think, see, here she goes, I'm thinking that it was a sign, because she says, I'm always doubting. Listen, everybody doubts. I have gotten to the point where I don't doubt anymore. Sometimes I'm just more amazed when things happen. I'm really amazed. I don't expect anything, and yet when things happen, I'm just thrilled and amazed. I think it's a good place for me to be. But she says, anyway, I was walking to my house from the car, and a small leaf blew up right into my hand. Now think about that. She's and a leaf just blows into her hand. And she says, the leaf was not pretty, but I knew it must have meant something. And I pressed it in a book. Absolutely. That would have been from guides or a loved one, Carlene. Absolutely. Absolutely. I mean, things that are really important. When you have those memories or those experiences. Absolutely. And Terry Picardo says, Kelly, I get signs, and that she gets pennies. A lot of people will get pennies, dimes, feathers. Absolutely. Birds flying up to me and staring. Oh, that's a big one. And those are big messages when you have birds that are up there flying and staring at you, and seeing numbers a lot. Absolutely. So people are seeing a lot of numbers, and numbers, it's like universal, waking people up. We programmed this before this journey, and that we would look at the certain numbers represent certain things. And really what happens is it gets your attention. Like, why am I seeing 111, 1111? What does that mean? Why is it every time I turn around? And even a left brain person might say, yeah, it doesn't mean anything. It actually does. It means that you're starting to wake up or not. Not everybody is going to wake up spiritually and have a different awareness. Not everybody, I'd like to think that everybody will evolve. And, there will be some people that are not evolving, and some people that evolve slowly, and some people that'll go faster. It's not to judge one thing or another. It's just where they are. Are they limited by a belief system? Belief system will really screw you up. So you want to look at that, and then you want to look at your triggers too. What triggers you? I think that's, again, I talked about that last week, and I think triggers are really important here. So Renee says, Kelly, would you pull a card for my sister-in-law who passed on February 19th, right after that eclipse? I'm sorry, honey. She said, I had a difficult relationship and always felt afraid of saying the wrong thing and having her verbally attack me. Renee, let's get you a card from her now. She's just, I got chills. And she's sorry about that. People have such bad behavior, right? They do. They get to the other side and they're like, oh my gosh, I guess I screwed up. That's right. I guess you did. You had an opportunity. And, be the bigger person if you can, but always work through your traumas. Scream and yell if you have to. I've told that story many a time. Sometimes it just helps. Here we go, Renee. It's from your sister-in-law. There is no time where I am. Time is only on the earth. So I would say there's no time for her right now. So give her a little bit of time for you. I think she'll be, once she gets to do a life review, that's the thing about a life review. Life reviews are real barn burners, I'm sure, for some people. Because you look at your life. And if there's a pattern of abuse and mistreatment and all kinds of things, you are the one that's going to be looking at that. You're not getting punished. If you harm somebody else, you're hardly harming yourself. So that was the whole experience of coming to Earth. The whole experiment, I should say, of coming to Earth. And let me get a card, too, from early on when I missed you, and I wanted to make sure I got you. Leslie, I want to get a card for you, and we'll do this from the angels. I love this deck. It's angel number deck. My cards will be out at some point in the next few months. I work hard to get those done. I love working on my cards. I'm so excited to get to share them with people when I get them. Okay. Ooh. All right. This is for you. 525, reshape. It's funny. With a Mercury retrograde, look for the REs in front of the word. Reshape, redo, rewind, remodel. Still a tough word for me, remodel, because we're still kind of in it a little bit. But anyway, reshape. And that would be for your birthday's at that eclipse. Again, if your birthday is now through the first, maybe March 12th, something like that, this is eclipse energy, heavy duty. And the closer you are to the 3rd, that's a lot. It's a lot of energy on that day. It's a 7 of Spades day, and 7 of Spades can bring accidents. So that's a heavy duty day, that March 3rd. It's heavy duty if you're out and about. It was a heavy duty day. Anyway, so let's see here. What else did I want to say here? Okay, Patty says, my grandson Thomas, 8-1, cab, I get a card. He stopped pot. Oh, fantastic. Can you get a card? Yes, but he turned to drinking. Oh, God. Well, then there's a lot of traumas he has to work through. When you stop pot, it can make people really jittery and angry, and all kinds of things can come up, right? So a few weeks, then he goes out with friends and starts all over again. Well, let's get a card from him. Unfortunately, people have to learn the hard way. Sometimes they can do it the easy way, but often there's a lot of traumas to work through. And so, Patty, I'm assuming he's working through a lot of things. 77, purpose. So he's got a purpose here. Patty. Just keep sending him a lot of love and help him if you can. Okay. Deb Russell says, Kelly, I'm listening from Boston where you got 2 feet of snow. Is that something? Hey, Lynn from Connecticut. Wow. Oh, Vivian from Canada. Okay. So Dolly says, Kelly, my daughter's going to Belgium and the Netherlands on Saturday. Well, so pack her patience up. I mean, that's traveling during this time. could bring, some delays. Again, pack your patience. I'm not saying don't travel. I'm just saying for me, would probably not be going to Puerto Vallarta right now. And I love Puerto Vallarta, by the way. I love it. So bummed, but I just love it. Hey, Kellyanne. Oh, from Gasford, Australia. Get out. Oh, Kellyanne from Australia. Let's get you a card here. Oh, my gosh. 4141, habit. So look at your habits. Now, it's funny. I want to say this, about habits. One thing about this particular lunar eclipse is it will help people get that sudden health routine. It's like you might be, because you're going to be letting go of a lot of things. It's an excellent thing to actually look at your health during this time and go, wait a minute, I'm gonna make some new habits here. So I think that's perfect. Dolly says, my son turned 49 today. Wow. How about a card? Let's get him a card here. Here we go. 69, accountability. So at 49, he will have some accountability here going. And that's always, listen, we always have to have accountability. All of us have to have that. It's very important here. Robert said, hey, Kelly, Susan here. Great color on you. Thank you. My stepmother gave me this, and I just love it. And your birthday is March 1st, so absolutely, I'll get you a card. So that's a 9 of spades. 9 of spades is, they say this is my last lifetime, 9 of spades. It's really the one that takes so much in, that 9 of spades. Oh my gosh, it's a powerhouse. It's a force. It's all about learning about the universe. And it's just a very, very powerful. It's a lot of completions. Whenever I see a 9 of spades, I know there's a lot of endings. But anyway, let me get you a card about that. Ooh, this is a good one. This is a really good one, Susan. Make a wish. 1111. Now, see, we were just talking about 111, 1111, and here it shows up. So that's very exciting for you. Oh my God, Karen from Wisconsin. How you doing, my friend? Oh my gosh. Hey, Rita. Oh my gosh. That's right. Today is 2/26/2026. Rita, let's get you a card from the angels, honey, and see how you're doing. Okay. 2134, achievement. Rita, I think you have achieved an awful lot in your life. And Karen, because I love you, here is a card for you. Leveling up, 1144. And that makes sense for you. Leveling up. You're definitely leveling up here. Oh my gosh. When is this, Janine? The eclipse is March 3rd. So most people will be asleep because it's like, I think it culminates 4 or 5 in the morning, depending on where you are. But just Google it for your time. Okay. Laura says, Kelly, would you happen to know what angel would have a huge, beautiful belt on its waist? And he would be a very large figure. Any of the archangels, they can have that. That could be Uriel. That could be Michael. That could be, depending on what color that you would see. But the archangels are very large. And they often typically come with that when I've seen them. So that's probably it. Okay. So Sarah Stone says, Kelly, my son's bus driver refuses to pick him up at my house when the last one did for a couple of years. Can you see if you will be able to get this fixed? I'm doing all I can to get this service restored. So there's that RE. Look for all the words with an RE in front of it. Anything. You'll get it fixed. Just stay on it. You're the mom. Stay on it. You'll get it fixed. Okay. Linda, you coffee too since Thanksgiving? Me too. What is up with that? Yep. Hot peppermint tea. I've been drinking ginger tea. I've done all that. But you know what? I will, Debbie. I appreciate that. I will get that. Okay. Donna says, Kelly, it's my twin son's birthday. Oh my gosh, they're 42. Well, let's get you a card, mother of twins. Oh my gosh. Here we go. 616. Okay, 6. This is very funny. 616. Sanctuary. Donna, you deserve a sanctuary. Oh my gosh. I can't imagine that. Wow. That is just 38 inches of snow in Rhode Island. Dear God. That just seems a lot. Okay, Gary for Grace says, Kelly, any message from my guides or my mother? Absolutely. Let's get you a card here, honey. As a soul, I can be in several places at once. So what this means is, from the other side's perspective, they can be anywhere that you need them to be, or whether they could be here, they could be there. Just know that they're around you, okay? They are around you. Always. Just know that. Thank you. Thank you. Okay. Laramari, right. I love Laramari. It's this stone of soulmate. And my husband gave me that. I love that. Okay, Morris says, Kellee, David Kessler. I love David Kessler. I think he's extraordinary. If you have deep grief, if you have grief, period. He has grief.com. Go to it. Go to it. He's introduced a new program. Yeah, I saw that about traumatic grief and how to pause when you feel activated. Right on. I love David, and I love the work he's doing. He's not a bypasser. He's a real deep person, and he does work with trauma. And when there's grief, there can be a lot of trauma there. So, and Shirley and I are talking about, on our Tuesday show this week, we are going to be talking about psychological and spiritual bypassing. I know we talked about it the other day. We're going to talk about it in a greater detail. We're going to give examples of clients that we have had with this, or people that we know, or people out in the world that are well known that we will talk about this. I'm so glad. Yeah, Shirley and I are really thrilled to be doing this because I love the spiritual world, you know that, but I'm also a psychotherapist too. So when I do a session with somebody, I really want to look deep into what's going on. I can look at it in a lot of lenses. I can look at it as a medium. I can look at it as a psychotherapist, but I can also look at it as in destiny or astrology or what's going on, or numerology. I just want to know. I want to crack the code and get as many answers out for people as I can, and help settle their nervous systems. That really seems also to be important. And that's the work that Shirley does too. Shirley has worked with Dr. Peter Levine, for years, and works with him. And so she does somatic experience. And that somatic is where trauma is stuck in the body. It's just extraordinary, the work that Shirley does. I just love that. So, and Jerry says, Kellee, how are we supposed to overcome fear? I live in a constant state of anxiety. I'm going to actually, Jerry, I want you to go to, if you wouldn't mind, go to psychologyandthesoul.com and write that question, okay? Because that's a really deep question. Psychologyandthesoul.com, and Shirley and I are going to answer that on the 10th of March. If you will put that, write that in the email. There's a whole place for you guys to write your questions in, but it's that calming place, Jerry, that we have to start in. That first of all, it's an in-depth question because you've got to look at a lot of things in life. What was the fear? What is the fear? Those kind of things. I'd be curious if you could, Jerry, even though that's a simple question, maybe highlight some of the things that you have, brought you fear. Okay, if you could. And so Shirley and I are going to talk about this. Okay, but thank you for that question, Jerry. It's really, really important. Okay, because some people do live in a constant state of anxiety. Absolutely. And so Shirley will slow that down. She'd slow that down. And really, where do you feel it in the body? Starting to take some deep breaths. There's certain ways that you can control that. Okay, but when you're living in a constant state, that's a state of trauma. And that's the state that I'd like to know a little background of that state. Okay. So, okay, I hope that helps a little bit. Julie says, Kellee, I see your yellow. They're tulips. Aren't those pretty? They look like roses. They're tulips. And there was your grandmother's flower. Wow, when she passed, they have always been a reminder of her. It's so funny, Julie. I've been thinking about my grandmother all day. It's funny you would say that. Not the Jehovah Witness grandmother, my Jewish grandmother. I was thinking of her. She was great. She was great. The other one, not so. Yes, that's right. I'm glad that they remind you of her. Okay. Laura says, Kellee, coming into one's life with a limited fear-based attitude, would that have anything to do with prior lives? Oh, you bet. In karma and giving outlooks to others to witness? Absolutely. So if you come into a life, like I think everybody, when they come into birth, just being birthed can cause so much great fear. I mean, frankly, I only had one child for a reason. I don't think I could do that again. So, but coming into Earth, we're here we are going to have fear. It's a fear-based place. And so that's why this going inward, know thyself, know what your triggers are, what is causing fear, what happened to you. that kind of thing. Having somebody that validates what happened can also start to calm that, to calm you in your system. So there are a lot of ways to do this. Okay, there are a lot of ways to do this. Free at Last says, Kellee, unconditional love does not judge. That's true. Does not. And this really helps me, along with gratitude and laser focus on being in the present. Helps me focus from a place of love. I love that. You know, it's not easy here on earth. It's just not easy. But so you have to be mindful. You've got to be conscious. You've got to make good choices. You've got to think clearly. And so there's a whole bunch of things that you can do to get there for this. And unconditional love is so important there, and not to judge. No judge. Everybody's going to be in their different places at different times for different reasons. Okay, so there you go. I hope that helps. So I hope that helps here. As let's see, Jerry says, even as I'm watching you speak and educate, I can't stop leg tapping. I will try that. So yeah, write to us, Jerry. And leg tapping is anxiety coming out for sure. Yeah, I think Shirley and I just talked about that on our last program about leg tapping. That has a lot to do. I mean, I understand, honey. You know, if you can, go to traumahealing.org, traumahealing.org, and there are some wonderful somatic therapists that can really help with that. Okay, if you can, Jerry, it would probably be a great place to begin. Okay, a really good place here. Terry says, anytime I've ignored my intuition, I always kick myself in the ass. Right on. It's the truth. That is, you always have to pay attention now. So, Free at Last says, when you're focused on the past, you tend to be depressed. Can be. And when you focus on the future, anxiety. Absolutely. Because it's the fear of the unknown, right? And you focus on the present, and that is absolutely so important if you can. But when you're in the middle of panic, you know, it's hard to get there. So deep breaths help a lot. Lots of deep breaths, slow deep breaths will help. Leshel says, Kellee, 10 years ago, my father passed away in the hospital. The day before he passed away, I had this nudge to watch his family home video starting when he was a baby, a child, and a teenager. There you go. That's intuition. That is intuition. I'm so glad to hear that. Morris says, Kellee, thank you. I have not been in my head too much and feeling not grounded. Really doing my best to tap into my intuition. Thank you, as I really need to quiet my mind. Quiet the mind is everything. And Debbie says, I always look for signs, and it's a lot of fun. It is so much fun to do that, right? Kate Cannon Delano says, can I have a card? Your birthday is July 15th. Well, let's get you a card from the angels. Authenticity, 427, authenticity, which is really funny because this lunar eclipse will bring us a lot of emotional authenticity. So that's perfect for you. And let's see here. Anne says, lately I have a person that comes to mind and I haven't thought about, and the next thing I know, they've passed away. That's what I'm telling you. You get to a certain space in life, certain age, and you're like, I'm thinking about old Tom. And then what happened to him? Oh, he died. Oh. Anyway, oh my gosh. And Margaret, what do I mean by linear? So a linear is, some people think like this. And intuition is not linear. It's over here. It's over here. This is why right brain people have an easier grasp at intuition than a left brain person. And so there you go. Oh, Evie, you enjoyed the show? Thank you. Sign up for my class. I think it will help a lot of people with really understanding thyself. Understand thyself is everything. Yeah, so what I mean by linear is just, again, more of a left brain approach. We do this and this and this, left brain. Where intuition is like this, it's free flowing, it's not linear. It's much more open than that. Julie says, as an empath, I struggle around narcissistic people. Sadly, I work with many. Julie, it's a tough one. Take my class. It's a tough one. I'm going to give a lot of tips of how to deal with that, But it's really hard as an empath. And things that I've had to learn along the way. None of it's easy, but it's all possible. Okay, Patrick. Hey, Patrick. I usually remember snippets of my dreams, but I think back on them and unusual incidents of how I overcome it. There you go, an obstacle or solve the problem. I often thought it was odd that I don't remember the whole dream because now you didn't need to, but now I know it's probably my guides telling me that I have the strength to overcome problems. Thanks for letting us know. How you doing, Patrick? Oh my gosh, good to see you. Say hi to Mark for me. Okay, everybody, I've got to run. I could just keep going and going. I love this. I love this. Oh, wait, Gretchen says, I heard Marie Mancheri, I love her, by the way, say that your intuition will often seem like the craziest message. It's so true, but that's because your logical brain would never have thought of it. And that's what I'm saying, Gretchen. That's really, I think that's really important here. All right, everybody, I've got to run, but have a great week. I have a big video that comes out, just a couple of minutes, but it's about the lunar eclipse, and I think it'll be important. And then attached to that will be like 5 tips of things to do and probably not to do. All right? So take care, my friends. I'll see you. Join Shirley and me on Psychology and the Soul next week on Tuesday. Take care, my friends. Bye.
You've been listening to Ask Me Anything, featuring spiritual medium and psychotherapist Kellee White.